Hi, my name is Anubhav and I'm a technical marketing engineer at Cisco Systems working for Security Business Group. In this video, I will cover Cisco Firepower Threat Defense and Amazon Web Services. I'll start off this video with AWS Overview, where I will talk about virtual private cloud and EC2 instances, and then I will move on to Cisco Firepower Threat Defense Virtual and Firepower Management Center Virtual in AWS. I will talk about licensing and use cases, and at the end of the video I will show a live deployment of FTD and FMC in AWS. Amazon Web Services Overview. So Amazon Web Services, or AWS, is a public cloud service provider which provides various services to end users. So I will cover virtual private cloud. Virtual private cloud is a component or a service provided by AWS, which gives you flexibility of managing your own IP address, your own subnet, your own routing table. You can deploy virtual machine or EC2 instances in AWS as and when required, and you can decommission when machines are not required. It gives you flexibility of managing everything within your virtual private cloud. FTD and FMC, or the Firepower Threat Defense and Firepower Management Center, is now available in AWS Marketplace, and these two components can be deployed as EC2 instances within AWS environment. Firepower Threat Defense in AWS. So we have taken features from ASA and features from Firepower, and we have created a unified image, and this image is now available in Amazon Web Services. You can deploy FTD virtual and FMC virtual as a guest in AWS, which runs on private Zen hypervisor. Outside of AWS, Zen hypervisor is presently not supported. FTD can be deployed in two modes at the moment. First one is the routed mode, and second one is ER-span. I will cover these in upcoming slides. Presently, active standby is not supported, but it is there in roadmap. We can provision two kinds of instances, extra large and 2XL. So number of interfaces, vCPU and RAM is listed here. So whenever you are provisioning any kind of FTD or FMC in your environment, based on your requirement, you can select instance type. And there's one important thing you need to keep in mind after deploying FTD and FMC in AWS. You need to make sure that security group control allows SSH and HTTPS for management access. And for management access, you need internet connectivity, as well as you need static IP address assigned to FTD and FMC for remote admin access. Licensing, smart licensing is supported on FTD. We have license for advanced protection as well as base license that enables next generation firewall functionality. So this is a good slide which gives you more information about licensing. And here is the comparison between classic license and smart licensing. So you can refer to this slide for your licensing needs. And let's talk a little bit about deployment scenarios. We have edge firewall deployment use case, where you can deploy FTD as your edge firewall and configure NAT security policies on FTD, and users from outside will access internal servers using the NATed IP address. So routing, NATing, and security policies are handled on the FTD. And FMC will control FTD. For management access, you need elastic IP address on both devices, FTD and FMCs. Second deployment option is passive inspection. So if you have Cisco CSR running already in your network, you can create a ER-span and send it to FTD, and FTD will look at the traffic and allow or drop traffic according to the policies configured on FTD. So in this demo, what I'm going to do is I will create two networks, outside and inside, and I will place FTD between these two interfaces, and I will make sure that routing is done through FTD and security policies are handled on FTD. So I'm going to pause this video now, and I'm going to log into AWS admin console, and from admin console I will go ahead and deploy devices. So I'm now connected to Amazon Web Services console, and from here we will provision our FTD virtual and FMC virtual and enable communication between two subnets. So before I start with configuration part, I will go ahead and show you my existing configuration. So if I'll click on VPC, I have this VPC tenant 1. Under this VPC, I have created few subnets. So I'll go ahead and click on subnets here. I have MGMT interface, MGMT subnet outside and inside. These are the IP addresses or the subnet assigned to these subnets. So on outside I have 200.0/24, on inside I have 100.0/24, and on management I have 250.0/24. In this VPC I have also created internet gateway. So I'm getting internet from this internet gateway. So let me go to EC2 instances now, and let me show my existing instances. I have two instances running at the moment, Linux inside and Linux outside. These are the elastic IP addresses or public IP addresses assigned to these interfaces. Each box has two interfaces. One interface is going towards management interface, so let me show it to you here. So this interface 250.13 or 250.0 is a management interface which is going towards management, and it is assigned to this elastic IP address. And other interface is a production interface, so it is going to inside subnet. Similarly, if we look at the interface configuration here on outside Linux box, it is similar. This one 250.234 is management IP address, and 200.100 is the production IP address or IP address that belongs to outside subnet. And .145 is elastic IP address or public IP address of this Linux host. I have created interfaces as well. This LNX outside is the production interface of Linux outside machine. This LNX inside is production interface for inside Linux, and these two interfaces are the management interface of these two Linux boxes. I have created a security group. Under this security group, I have allowed everything. Idea is to allow traffic on the native security of AWS and control traffic security on FTD. So instead of playing with the native security of AWS, I'm going to control security on FTD. I have elastic IP addresses, two IP addresses I have assigned, one IP address to Linux inside and the other IP address is assigned to Linux outside. So now I'm going to instances, and I will launch two instances. First instance is for Fireside Management Center. Second instance would be for Firepower Threat Defense. So I'm going to click on Launch Instance. I'll go to AWS Marketplace. Under AWS Marketplace, I will type Cisco. I'll scroll down and look for Firepower Management Center Virtual. So I'll go ahead and click on it. On this page, it'll give me two options, either to go with 2XL or single XL. I'll just select default option and I'll click on Next. Here I need to specify which VPC this device is going to be added. So I'm going to use tenant 1. I'm going to put this device in management interface 250.0/24 interface, and I'm going to assign, instead of using the DHCP address, I'm going to assign IP address .51 on this device. I'll click on next. I'll click on next. Here I will specify tag for this device. Tag is just name of the device, so I'll type FMC virtual. I'll click on configure security group. I'll select existing security group, and remember, in this security group I have permitted everything. So I'm going to select this one now, and I will click on review and launch. So I will now review configuration. I'm using 2XL. I'm using this security group, and traffic is allowed. This is the image it is going to use, so this is the image type, and I'm going to click on launch now. So when I will click on launch, it will ask me to select existing key pair or create a new key pair. So I already have an existing key pair that I can use, so I'll go ahead and use FMC-AWS. That's the key pair that I have already downloaded on my computer, so I'm going to use the same security key or the key pair. I will just click on acknowledge and click on launch. So FMC installation and initialization could take up to 30 minutes for the first time, because it's gonna boot it for the first time and initialize a few processes in the background. So I will instead of waiting for 30 minutes, I will just go back to view instances, and I will go ahead and launch another one. So again, I will click on launch instances, go to marketplace. I will type Cisco. So before I install FMC, let me create two interfaces that I would be using for FMC. So I'll go back to EC2 instances here. I will go to interfaces. I will create two interfaces. One is the FTD outside interface. Second is FTD inside interface. So I'll go ahead and click on create interface. I will name it as FTD virtual OUT. I'll select subnet outside. Instead of auto assign, I will assign IP address 10.0.200.50. I'm gonna use a .50 IP address. And again, security group that I'm going to use here is allow all, the one that I have previously created. This one. So I've created this interface FTD out. I will properly name it FTDv out. I'm going to use this interface on FTD virtual. I will create another interface FTDv ins for inside. I will select inside from here. Instead of auto assign, I will use 10.0.100.50. I will create, I'll use the same profile here, and let me go to this interface right here, FTDv/ins, and I need to make sure that I disable source and destination check on the data interfaces. So I'll go ahead and do it now. Similarly, on the production interfaces here, I have already disabled it. So for both Linux boxes, source and destination check is already disabled. I'll go back to instances now, and I will click on launch instance. I'll go to marketplace. Under marketplace, I will type Cisco again. I'll scroll down and look for FTD virtual. Under FTD virtual, see, we only have one instance available, that is XL. So I'll go ahead and select that and click on configure instance details. I will select tenant 1 as my VPC. I will put it in management interface, and here on the management interface I will use 10.0.250.50, and you need to make sure when you add a VFTD in AWS, you need to add two management interfaces, one for FTD, other one for the native Lena operating system. This interface is not going to be used, but we need to add it. If this interface is not added, FTD will not boot up. So go ahead and add another interface and leave it blank. Click on add storage, leave all the options default here, click on tag. So I'll just type it FTDv. I'll click on configure security group. I'll select the existing group. Review and launch. So this is my image that I will go ahead and deploy. This is my instance type. This is my security group. So I'll click on launch. And here also I already have existing key pair that I would be using, so I will select that and click on acknowledge. I will go ahead and launch it. So till this point we have added two management interfaces to FTD, but we have not added data interfaces. So next step is to right click on this image here and click on networking and click on attach network. This step is very important. Unless you add data interfaces and two management interfaces, FTD will not boot up. So you need to go back and attach outside and inside interface to FTD. So now this initialization is happening in the background, and this process can take up to 30 minutes. So I've seen FTD getting deployed in 5-10 minutes, but FMC will take a little bit more time, and reason is it's going to initialize a lot of things in the background, and then the other things would be happening. So I would be pausing this video for now, and once these two devices are up, I will go ahead and resume this recording again. Yes, so we are back now, and now you can see that the status of both machines are running, and it has also passed the interface check. So next step is to go ahead and assign public IP addresses to these two devices so that we can access it from external network. So I will go ahead and click on Elastic IP addresses. So under Elastic IP address, I'll go ahead and click on allocate new addresses. So I will allocate two addresses for now, one for FTD and the other one is for FMC. So I'm going to use it again. Click on allot. Now I will just right click on this one and click on associate address. I will associate it to FMC, and I'll make sure that this IP address is assigned to management interface 250.51. I'll go ahead and click on associate. I will associate second address as well. Second address is, I'm going to associate it with FTD. So here is a drop down menu. We need to make sure that it is being assigned to .50. That's the management IP address, and .122 is assigned to second management interface. So there is no use of this interface, but I'm going to use .50, 250.50 for now, and I will click on associate. I will again go back to instances. I will right click on this instance and I will go to um, change source and destination check. Presently it is enabled. On the appliance level also, I will go ahead and disable it. So let me verify whether it is now disabled or not. Yes, it is disabled now. I will do the same thing for FMC as well. So what I've done is I have disabled source and destination check from interfaces as well, and at the appliance level also I have disabled it. So my next thing is to open access FTD and initialize FTD. So I'll just go ahead and open terminal. This is my terminal here. So I'm gonna use my key. So I have used FTDv-AWS as my key. So I'll go ahead and type SSH -I, and then I will define location of my file downloads FTDv-AWS.pem, and since I'm accessing FTD, so username is admin @ and then I will paste IP address of the device. I will just say yes. So it is asking for new password. I will just add a new password here, Cisco 123. So it is asking for configuration of IP address, so I'm gonna say yes. I will not assign IPv6. I will type manual, or I'll just hit enter. I've specified that I'm going to use 10.0.250.50 as my management IP address for this appliance, so I will leave this IP address as default. So this IP address is actually picked up from the interface that I have created. So at the time of deployment of VFTD, I specified three interfaces. Actually four interfaces. First two interfaces were management interface. I assigned .50 to the first management interface, and I used DHCP client option for second interface, and then I added two interfaces, VFTD outside and VFTD inside. So this interface is management 0 interface, so I'm gonna just say select the default option. I'm gonna select default on all levels. I will type name of this one as ftdv.cisco.com. DNS server, I will leave it as default. You can specify your DNS. I will just type cisco.com as the search domain. So this process will take up to 2 minutes to initialize everything. Once it is initialized, you will be in the configuration tab, and from the configuration prompt you can configure, or you can add manager information. So here let's wait for a couple of minutes so that it can specify, it can initialize it. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and try to access FMC as well. So you need to make sure when you access FMC for the first time, you need to use your key, this key here, and once this FMC is accessed for the first time using CLI, next time when you access it, you can use your GUI interface. So I'm going to access this device using the key here. So I'll use this key. Okay, so now we have already configured it. So now I can just add configure manager space address, or add 10.0.250.51. This IP address is IP address of our FMC, Firepower Management Center. I'm going to use this IP address. Okay, and I'm going to point this to my Fireside Management Center. And now I will open another window. I will try to access my FMC now. SSH minus I downloads FMCv-aws.pem space username admin @ and then I'll paste that IP address here. So first time I'm accessing this device using the CLI so that I can create password for it. So now I have entered my new password. So now I have access to my FMC as well as FTD. I'm going to open FMC using this IP address. Let me resize this window and HTTPS this IP address. Advanced add exception. I'm gonna use this CLI. So I will just type username admin, password admin123. I will just click on remember password for now. So I'm in this prompt now, so I will just update my password, Cisco123. 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 I will click here and I will click on apply. So this process will take another 1 to 3 minutes, and let's wait for it to happen. So let me see here as well one more time. This is my FMC, and on FMC I'm already connected. FMC is 10.0.250.1, and if I do show manager here, I have already added a configuration command, and I have pointed this FTD to 10.0.250.1 as the manager address. So I'm just going to see this. It's taking some more time, because since this is the first time interaction with the device, so might be few processes which are running in the background. It's taking some extra time. So I'll just click on apply once again, and so configuration is getting redirected. So let's wait for some more time. I think I'll go ahead and pause this video for now. So as soon as this GUI is up, I will resume again. Okay, so we are back again, and now we have access to Firepower Management Center. First step is to click here on System, go to Licenses, and I will click on Smart Licenses. And under Smart Licenses, I will go ahead and enable Evaluation License. So evaluation mode, I will click on this one, click on OK. So my evaluation period is already enabled now, and it expires in 89 days. Next step is to go to devices, and under devices I will click on device management. Under device management I will click on add device. I will specify 10.0.0.250.50. that is the IP address of my FTD FTDv, and registration key that I've added is Cisco 123. I will go ahead and create a policy here. This policy is going to be applied on the virtual sensor, so I will name it as FTDv-policy. I will just click on network discovery because this is for demo purpose. I will just show you how traffic is getting inspected. I will not block it for now. I'll just click on save. I will select this policy here, enable all features, and click on register. So this process will check for connectivity between Fireside Management Center or Firepower Management Center and Firepower Threat Defense. So it's gonna register FTD into FMC now. So we'll wait for some more time. This is the registration process, and it'll take 30 seconds to 1 minute to register it. Oh, some error occurred. Let me see what happened. I just clicked on OK, and I will go ahead and click on refresh just to see if everything went fine or not. I think everything went fine because I can see FTD registered already here, but let's see what happens. I'll just click on refresh. I'll go to device management. Yeah, I think this process is taking some more time. It is still contacting FTD. I can see that FTD is already registered, but it is still syncing up with uh, FMC. So in the meantime, while this process is completing, I guess yes, it is fine now. FTDv is now registered in FMC Virtual in AWS. We can click on this device here and look at the configuration. But I would be configuring these interfaces in part 2 of this video. For now, what I will do is I will go to policies, go to control policies, and go click on control access. Here we have created this policy in the previous step, so I will just click on edit. So this policy is presently empty, so I will click on add. I will name it as rule 1. Under rule 1 I will go ahead and select ICMP. I will enter SSH. I will enter HTTP. I'm sorry, I just clicked on backspace, so let me add it again. Ports, I will type here ICMP. I will select, I will click on add, rule 1, and then I will type HTTP, HTTPS, telnet, SSH. I will click on logging. I will select beginning of the session, end of the session. I'm gonna log it. Click OK. I will create another rule, rule 2, to block everything else. This is an explicit block that I'm gonna add. So I have rule 1 allowing specific traffic on these protocols, and then I have explicit deny statement added at the end. I will click on save, and then I will go ahead and click on apply. I will go ahead and deploy this configuration from Firepower Management Center to FTD. So this process will take a couple of minutes to deploy the configuration. So for this video, I'm gonna stop here, and we'll join back, and I will show you integration, how this device can be integrated between outside and inside subnet. We'll work on that in the next video. So I will go ahead and stop this video for now, and then in the next video I will place this VFTD between outside and inside interface.